Imagine you're standing on the edge of like a really muddy soccer field for the very first time. You've got this whistle, a mesh bag full of half-inflated balls, and a completely dense 50-page PDF of league bylaws that someone emailed you at midnight.
Oh, yeah. Just the absolute worst way to start.
Right. You're absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
I mean, the kids are staring at you, the parents are staring at you, and in that moment,
Yep.
you realize this kind of fundamental irony.
Yeah.
Why do sports leagues, these organizations that are, completely obsessed with the precise mechanical rules of a game, why do they design the absolute worst learning experiences for the actual people stepping onto the field?
I mean, that image is just painfully accurate. It captures this systemic failure we see constantly. Because if you think about it, the physical environment of a sport is meticulously curated, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like the dimensions of the field, the weight of the ball, the timing of the clock, all of it is precise. But then the human onboarding process, the actual psychological entry point into that world, is just completely chaotic.
Which brings us to the core of what we are unpacking today for you, the listener, in this deep dive. We're exploring this really fascinating article from Stella Pop about a concept they call sports instructional design.
Yeah, it's a great piece.
And look, whether you are volunteering for that local youth league, or maybe you're onboarding new hires at your corporate job, or you just, love learning about human behavior, these insights will fundamentally change how you view sharing information. Because their mission statement is pretty blunt. Information is not education.
Exactly. And we so often conflate those two things, right? We just assume that if a person has access to the data, well, they've been educated.
Like checking a box.
Right. Exactly. Most sports organizations actually have a wealth of really valuable knowledge. They have rigorous safety procedures, baseline coaching standards, comprehensive rule books.
But no one can find them.
Right. The flaw is entirely in the delivery. Because the knowledge is just scattered across, disjointed emails, or it's buried in some massive downloadable PDF on a website from 2004.
Or like hidden in a random unlisted YouTube video link that doesn't even work anymore.
Yes, exactly. A new participant gets bombarded with all this at once. The information exists, but the journey to get there does not.
Okay, let's unpack this with a visual. Handing a total beginner a 50-page PDF rulebook and a bunch of disconnected video links, it's basically like dumping a massive pile of car parts on someone's driveway and just expecting them to drive to work.
That's a really good way to put it.
Right. Because the pieces are there. Technically, the raw materials exist, but without a manual and without like an assembly line, it's just an overwhelming mess. You can't commute to work in a pile of spark plugs.
You really can't. And what's fascinating here is if you take that mechanical analogy into the realm of cognitive psychology, this scattered approach triggers a very specific physiological response.
Oh, like panic.
Basically, yeah. It's cognitive overload. When an adult or a kid steps into a novel physical and social environment, their working memory is already operating at near maximum capacity.
Just from showing up.
Just from being there. They are processing this tidal wave of new stimuli. They're trying to figure out the social dynamics. They're assessing physical safety, mapping the spatial environment. Human working memory can only hold a few discrete chunks of information at a time.
So their mental RAM is essentially maxed out before anyone even blows a whistle.
Exactly. So if you then bombard that maxed out brain with highly technical, abstract rules like, the specific penalty for a rare infraction in the third quarter, the brain literally lacks the bandwidth to process it.
Right.
The learner cannot encode that information. Instructional design is really the science of managing that cognitive load. It demands relevance, pacing, and immediate real-world application.
I remember signing up my niece for a local gymnastics program, and the quote-unquote onboarding experience was this poorly formatted liability waiver and a link to a 45-minute unedited video of a competitive routine.
Oh, wow. No context at all.
Literally zero context. No voiceover. As a guardian, I had absolutely no idea what she was supposed to wear, where I was supposed to sit, or what even the first 10 minutes of the class would look like. I almost pulled her out before she even started.
And see, that reaction is the statistically predictable outcome of cognitive overload. The learner, or the parent in your case, experiences a massive spike in cortisol.
Yeah, I definitely did.
Because the environment feels intimidating, unpredictable, and unsafe. And when people feel consistently incompetent or overwhelmed, they just don't stick around to figure it out. They quit.
They just walk away.
Right. A participant walks away after one practice.
Mm-hmm.
A parent decides the travel league is, too opaque before the season even starts, a volunteer coach just vanishes after week 2.
Because the friction of acquiring the information is just way greater than the joy of the sport. So if dumping information on people is causing this mass exodus before the race even begins, how do we actually fix the starting line? Because when a large organization realizes their digital stuff is broken, the immediate reflex is usually just blind panic.
Oh, totally. Burn it all down.
Right. The board of directors demands this total overhaul. They want to scrap the website and build some massive, expensive new portal. But the Stella Pop framework advocates for the exact opposite. They say, find the one important moment.
Yeah, shrinking the scope is actually the most effective way to implement change in a resistant system. You isolate one specific audience that just desperately needs a better learning experience.
Which is usually who?
In almost every sports ecosystem, that target is the absolute beginner. You focus all of your instructional design resources on perfecting their very first interaction with your organization.
So you build this highly focused, mobile-first interactive onboarding module. Short videos, clear illustrations, maybe some light progress tracking. But the content strategy is the wild part to me.
Right, because of what it leaves out.
Exactly. It strips away 90% of the rule book. It only answers immediate day one survival questions.
Yeah.
What do I wear? What equipment do I actually need? What happens the second I walk through the doors?
Right. What are the basic safety parameters? Because by addressing only the immediate environmental and social anxieties, you are clearing the cognitive runway.
You're answering the questions that are actively blocking their ability to learn anything else.
Yes.
But wait, let me play devil's advocate here. Because withholding information just feels so counterintuitive to teaching a sport. Like if I'm coaching a group of 10-year-olds in basketball and I don't explain traveling or double dribbling before we start, aren't we just running around in chaos?
I see what you mean, yeah.
Doesn't a sports league need to explain the actual rules of the game immediately so people know what they're signing up for? If the digital onboarding only says, here's where to park and bring a water bottle, aren't we shortchanging the actual complexity of the sport?
Well, you have to consider the ultimate objective of that digital onboarding experience. Its purpose is not to replace the human coach on the court.
Okay, fair point.
The coach is still going to blow the whistle, stop the scrimmage, and, physically demonstrate what a double dribble looks like in real time. The digital module's purpose is purely to engineer psychological readiness.
Psychological readiness. So meaning putting their brain in a state where it can actually absorb that physical demonstration later.
Precisely. We can look at this through the lens of Maslow's hierarchy of needs applied to a learning environment.
Oh, interesting.
A participant simply cannot process high-level strategic concepts if they're actively worried about baseline security or social belonging.
Because they're just panicking about looking dumb.
Right. If a kid is standing on the baseline, terrified because they're wearing the wrong shoes and they feel embarrassed, their brain is just flooded with stress hormones. In that state, they literally cannot encode the mechanical footwork of a pivot. But by using a digital module to eliminate that initial intimidation beforehand, you lay a secure emotional foundation. You give the human coach a student who arrives calm, confident, and actually ready to learn the rules.
That completely reframes the entire concept of onboarding. You're preemptively clearing emotional roadblocks. And from a purely operational standpoint, I imagine proving this works with a beginner creates massive momentum within an organization.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge quick win.
Right, because you don't have to spend 18 months in committee meetings arguing about a total digital transformation. You just build this one highly effective beginner module, launch it, measure the retention data, and prove the concept.
And success in that initial stage earns you the right to expand. Because, a beginner doesn't stay a beginner forever. If your onboarding works, they adapt, they grow, and their cognitive needs shift entirely.
Which naturally leads us to the next phase of the Stella Pop piece, expanding into a learning ecosystem. Because a sports league isn't just players, right? It's this massive web of stakeholders.
Yeah, parents, volunteers, everyone.
Once that beginner foundation is solid, you have to map pathways for everyone else whose needs are evolving.
Right. The structural integrity of a sports organization relies almost entirely on the middle tier, the coaches, the volunteers, the parents. As the ecosystem expands, the next logical step is building specific modules for them.
Because they're usually the ones getting completely ignored.
Exactly. Take the volunteer coach. We ask them to dedicate hundreds of hours, yet we rarely provide a sequenced curriculum.
We hand them the bag of flat balls and just say, good luck out there, try not to lose anyone.
Which pretty much guarantees burnout. But a well-designed ecosystem provides them with microlearning modules, practice cards mapped to the age group, safety reminders, even pre-written templates for communicating with parents.
Just handing them the tools exactly when they need them.
Right. By providing these assets at the exact moment they're needed in the season, you eliminate that administrative burden of reinventing the wheel every Tuesday night.
It's remarkably similar to, like, unlocking a new level in a video game skill tree.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
Because when you start a complex role-playing game, you don't get the tools or the armor required to fight the final boss while you're still in the tutorial. The game deliberately withholds that stuff. You unlock the parent travel guide or the coach practice cards exactly when your character levels up and actually needs them.
That video game analogy highlights a core tenet of user experience design progressive disclosure. You only reveal the complexity of a system as the user demonstrates the competency to handle it.
Makes total sense.
And this extends to the parents, too. The article explicitly highlights the necessity of a parent-focused module, because sports parenting is notoriously fraught. And the friction doesn't usually come from malice, it comes from a complete lack of clear expectations.
The parents are basically experiencing their own version of cognitive overload.
Exactly.
They don't understand the travel logistics or the financial commitments or the crazy jargon the coach is yelling from the sidelines.
And when parents lack a framework for understanding that environment, that anxiety frequently manifests as disruptive behavior.
Like yelling at referees.
Right, or heavily pressuring their kids on the car ride home.
Hmm.
An instructional module designed for parents doesn't just explain the offsides rule, it educates them on the psychology of youth development.
Wait, really? It goes that deep?
It should. It teaches them how to support a young athlete after a tough loss without adding unnecessary pressure. So by educating the parent, you are actively engineering a healthier sideline environment.
And as those young athletes grow into, like, the hardcore competitor phase, their digital needs pivot again, right? The ecosystem has to serve up modules on understanding tournament scoring, managing competitive anxiety, all that stuff.
Yes.
And crucially, this ecosystem model allows for the integration of adaptive sports.
Which is such a vital application of this framework. True instructional design has to accommodate diverse physical and cognitive abilities.
Right.
An effective digital ecosystem creates accessible learning pathways. It offers specialized guidance on adaptive equipment and provides coaches with the pedagogical tools to, modify their instruction for neurodivergent athletes or those with physical disabilities.
It just removes the guesswork from inclusion.
Exactly. It makes it actionable.
But, okay, here's where my brain starts to hurt a little. If customizing this journey requires building a dozen different highly specific modules, one for the nervous parent, one for the veteran coach, the adaptive athlete, the referee, you're going to hit a massive resource wall.
Oh, inevitably.
Most local rec leagues, or even mid-sized corporate HR departments, do not have the time, the budget, or the staff to design all this content. So is that why everyone is suddenly trying to just offload this entire process to AI?
Yeah, resource scarcity is absolutely the driver behind this huge rush toward artificial intelligence in education. But the Stella Pop analysis draws a very hard line regarding the real, proper application of AI in this space.
What's the hard line?
The fundamental error organizations make is attempting to use AI to replace human instruction.
Like trying to build a chatbot to teach a kid how to swing a baseball bat.
Exactly, which completely ignores the biological reality of how physical skills and character are actually transferred. Sports, at their absolute core, are built on human relationships, mirror neurons, and trust.
Technology can't replace a mentor.
It really can't. A great human coach possesses something we can call empathic bandwidth.
I love that phrase, empathic bandwidth.
It's so crucial. They notice the microexpressions. They see a slight hesitation in an athlete's step before a jump. They sense the frustration building up in a player's shoulders. And they recognize that sudden, quiet spark of confidence when a concept finally clicks.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting to me, though. An algorithm cannot look into a 10-year-old's eyes and know whether it is the right moment to challenge them to push harder or the right moment to step back and offer unconditional encouragement.
Exactly.
That requires a human nervous system reading another human nervous system.
Beautifully put. But dismissing AI entirely because it lacks empathy is an equal failure of imagination.
So where does it fit?
The framework argues that AI should be deployed aggressively, but specifically to handle the robotic, repetitive data processing that actively drains a coach's empathic bandwidth.
Okay, so using AI to do the administrative heavy lifting behind the scenes. Give me an example of how that actually works.
Well, let's look at how a large language model actually functions here. It doesn't just summarize data, it can restructure syntax for specific audiences.
Okay.
So you can feed that dense 50-page technical rulebook into an AI and prompt it to generate a beginner-friendly module written at, say, a fourth grade reading level.
Oh, wow.
Right. Or it can instantly translate the parent travel guide into 6 different languages to serve a diverse community. It can cross-reference an athlete's age and experience level to generate a customized 60-minute practice plan, complete with safety checklists in seconds.
See, that is the beautiful irony in all this. By using AI to handle the tedious formatting, the translations, and the curriculum generation, we are actually making the sport more profoundly human.
Yes.
Because it gives human coaches their time and their energy back.
Right.
Like if a volunteer isn't spending 3 hours on a Sunday night wrestling with a PDF formatting issue, they have more emotional reserves to bring to the field on Monday.
Exactly. They are out there building trust rather than acting as a data administrator. And this raises an important question about how organizations plan these digital projects. Because historically, when leadership decides to modernize, they jump straight to the technology.
Like, we need an app.
Right. The very first question in the boardroom is always, should we build an app? Or do we need to migrate to a new learning management system?
They lead with the solution before they've even mapped out the problem.
And that guarantees failure. The technology should be the very last decision made. The first question a leadership team must ask is, what should the human journey feel like?
Right.
What should a person experience from the exact moment they become curious about our community until the moment they become a confident, committed member of it?
So you have to map the emotional and educational journey first. Figure out where the friction points are. Where do people feel stupid? Where do they feel unsupported?
Exactly.
And once you have that map, you simply select the technology, whether that's a mobile app, an interactive video series, or an AI assistant, that smooths out those specific bumps. The goal is never to just put more information online. The goal is to make participation effortless.
Effortless participation. That's the perfect way to summarize it.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? The Stellapop Blueprint really challenges us to completely abandon this digital filing cabinet approach to education, where we just dump everything we know onto a server and wish the learner good luck.
Yeah, that era needs to end.
Real instructional design is an act of empathy. It requires combining adult learning psychology, user experience design, and smart AI integration to build a customized sequential journey.
And it shifts the organizational mindset from merely transferring facts to actively engineering retention.
Right. You find your most vulnerable audience, the absolute beginner. You solve their day one anxieties, and you expand the ecosystem outward based on real human feedback. And the application of this goes so far beyond a soccer field.
Yeah, absolutely. It's universal.
Whether you're welcoming a new member to a community board, onboarding a junior employee to your team, or bringing a new player into a game, remember the immense fragile power of that very first experience. Your primary job in that initial moment is not to tell them everything there is to know about the system.
No, not at all.
Your job is to show them where they belong within it. Reduce the cognitive load, strip away the noise, and give them the exact tools they need simply to survive and enjoy day one.
Implementing that level of care creates such a profound ripple effect. And, it leaves us with something deeper to consider regarding the concept of legacy.
What do you mean?
Well, because a nervous, overwhelmed beginner today, if they are supported correctly, eventually becomes the confident athlete tomorrow. They master the skills. And in a decade, that same person might step into the role of the coach. Decades later, they become the community advocate, the donor, or the elder statesperson of the program.
The entire life cycle of the community is just this continuous loop.
Exactly. A loop that depends almost entirely on the success of that very first moment and participation. Which leads to this final thought.
Let's hear it.
If the multi-generational survival of any community hinges on that crucial first touch point, what happens to the soul of our organizations if we allow that entry point to become entirely digitized, automated, and just outsourced to algorithms? We have the technological tools to design the perfect frictionless path. We can eliminate the administrative hurdles and deliver the exact right data at the exact right time. But at the end of the day, an algorithm cannot welcome you inside. A human being still has to stand there, look you in the eye, and hold the door open.